Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here we go with another video from my trip down to Charlotte for Heroes Con. We are at the end of day 2 now. This is the last group of artists I got before the end of that day, and I tell you, this was a great con. I got so many people at this con. If you guys have never been to Heroes Con, you've got to go. It is a true comic collector's paradise. It is 100% about the comic books and the comic book creators. I could not recommend it higher. So here we go with day 2, the last group. I've already gotten a lot of great people, including Jenny Frison, Jerry Conway. There was a whole bunch of people. Art Adams was in there. Well, we're at the end of the day now, and we've got David Finch coming up. We've got Jim Rugg, Adam Hughes, Maria Wolf, Kevin Nowlan, and Carl Story. And it doesn't sound like a lot of people, but boy, I was getting a lot of books signed. And at this point, we are at the end of day 2. As I've said, we are trying to wrap up getting all these books signed, because it's just a massive amount of books I took down to Charlotte this year. And so what we're going to do here is, of course, I'm going to break right now. We're going to show you some footage from the show, and I hope you enjoy that. So sit back, enjoy that. We'll come back, and then we will do a show and tell with all the books I've got sitting right here. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm from there, so I'm biased, but I love Mark Nathan's store and everything.
Yeah, it's such a great show. So I hated not going last year. I'm looking forward to it this year.
Yeah, I haven't checked the schedule. It's always fun when we got the Orioles in town, and it'll be a big weekend there. A lot of excitement going on.
Yeah, well, and it's very similar to this show in that it's a real artist show.
Yeah.
So
that's how I talk about it. I always say these two shows are mirror images.
Yeah.
They do a little bit more celebrity, but it's always off to the side. It never interferes.
Yeah. Yeah, versus so many other shows that, it's a business, and I'm saying it like they're selling their souls. They're not. Having celebrities is fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But being a comic artist at some of those shows, you feel like a bit of an afterthought.
When I went up to Fan Expo in Philly last year, they had the whole Jeff Johns Ghost Machine crew. Everybody was there, and I'm super excited to finally meet Brian Hitch. I was like really excited, and I get there, and there was this little side of comic books right there, with a buzz from people like me, and then the celebrities and the voice actors they were going nuts.
Yeah, well, that's anime, right? So
it's crazy. So it tells you we love comics. This looks great, but in the whole world, it's still
we're still pretty small.
We're still pretty small. Anyway, look forward to seeing you in Baltimore. Thanks, David. Pretty good. Do you have time to sign a few things?
I do, sure.
Awesome. Cool. I've got I think 6 books, and I've got the old Marvel book here.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, this came out in
Do you have a preferred
in '92.
marker that I use?
At least on the blue. Okay. Although somebody snuck a black one in on me real quick.
Yeah, I see that. Kind of jealous because now they stand out. Where would I like to sign? Okay. I guess I'll sign here.
Well, at some point, it's going to get filled in.
Yes.
It's like all the blank pages at this point are starting to get filled up, and I don't want to squeeze anybody in.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not fair. I mean, you can see they went over that, but, spreads like this.
It's pretty cool.
And getting Stan,
Yeah.
But I've been doing this for 35 years.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see stuff like this now and then, and I always think, that's pretty cool. Good. So I'll just sign right across there if that's good.
Do wherever you want. These are great books. They're so much fun.
Thank you. And usually I sign across the logo?
It's all good. That's why when I put them in these window bags, it's like, try to leave the whole thing open. You can put it wherever you want.
This one seems obvious, right?
You left a white spot. Got to have some white space occasionally.
I try to have what makes, have something that, the signature makes sense some spot. It doesn't always work out.
Doesn't always work. So you're going to be up in Baltimore this year?
I am, yep.
That's awesome. I'm from Baltimore, so I'm always asking. Whenever I talk about Baltimore, I always talk about this show, about how similar they are.
Yes. Man, I do not see very many of these to sign.
Really?
I go right across here.
I mean, that's fairly new. It's not that old.
But I don't know the print run, they may not have.
Well, I remember when it came out in the stands, I go to my LCS and I'm like, it's like, it's different. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not their normal art style. And I'm like,
It's true.
so when I found out it was Hughes, like it got pulled immediately.
Sometimes I'm not sure what my normal art style is. You know, I tend to work a lot of different ways.
It's cool. How much owe you for everything?
Oh, nothing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't charge for signatures unless there's a witness being paid.
Yeah,
I feel like
gotcha.
if someone's going to get paid to watch me sign, I'm going to get paid.
You know, when back in 2018, I couldn't go to the show in Baltimore. My Frank Miller was going to be there. My beautiful wife, wonderful wife, went to my place, got the stuff signed. And I only gave her, you know, about $100 in cash. And I said, most artists are making donations to the Heroes Fund. Just, you know, make something decent, give donations. And she came back and I kind of jokingly said, after looking at all the wonderful stuff that she got signed, I jokingly said, got any change left? And she's like, no, they were charging. I'm like, no, they weren't. Nobody charges except for like Jim Steranko and Neil Adams, right? And she said, no, they were all charging. Now, I was only going to that show during the year. I wasn't going to any other shows. Went the next year, and then I realized you're sitting there signing. At that point, CGC had a witness at every booth.
Yep.
Standing there, and,
I mean,
and they're getting paid.
Like I said, I don't charge unless somebody's getting paid to watch me sign. Like, I just feel like I can't.
Well, I appreciate
do
that.
You know what I mean? It's weird. But yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was last year or a couple years ago, but kind of talking to people in Baltimore about that, and they said it's about 50-50, the artists that were charging.
No, that's interesting.
But again, I think it depends if there's a witness too. Because like I would be a
And
guy
I
that
and I
doesn't charge.
and I get
unless,
that.
again, if there's a witness.
100%. I know David Peterson doesn't charge when he signs, and it's like
Yeah. I'm usually happy if you support my work. Like, the least I can do is.
that's what he said. He said the same thing. So
It makes a difference. I'm not here if people aren't buying my books. So.
it's true. Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you in Baltimore then.
It's his face, it's his body.
Sir, you want something signed?
You have some books?
Oh, sure can.
Appreciate that.
Got it right before I leave.
Yeah, I saw you starting to pack up. It's like, I better get stuff.
Oh, you got your stuff? Cool.
Yeah, I've got this one. This is the 50 Fabulous Years of Marvel. So I've been
Okay.
adding people to this page now. It doesn't. Normally, I wouldn't have somebody sign that, but all of the, the big blank pages, we're getting
Right.
filled up. It's
Oh,
like
that's totally fine, man.
it's like I don't want to squeeze people
Right.
in, so it's like, we'll just use this
Okay, cool. I can sign anywhere, right?
anywhere you want.
Okay, I'll do it right here.
I had somebody the other day, one of the guys here signed is like, hey, am I in here? And I'm like, dude, this book came out in 1992. You weren't even born yet.
He's probably like, damn.
But he still looked. It was weird.
He's like, somebody's got to kind of have my name.
But I saw you here. I was in the line for somebody last year, and you were right across from us. And I was like, I remember there was a YouTube channel, Comics Den, that was filming when you were right there, and you were your personality just came out, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was watching their channel, and I was standing there, and I watched them later when they filmed it or showed it, and it was like this year I got to stop by and get you to sign something.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And just a crazy little person. That's it.
I love it.
Little person with like tons of personality. That's how I see it. There you go.
I mean, yeah, this book I've been working on for 35 years at this point, since 92, well, almost 35.
Wow.
So it's just, a project piece. I started it up in Philly, let's see, with, a lot of the classic Marvel guys from the 60s
That's so cool.
and everything.
Dude.
Yeah, it's a lifelong project,
I love when I see people's collections. Like, it's amazing. There's this one guy who had self-portraits of artists.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see how other artists draw themselves. And it was just mini cards.
Oh, that's neat.
Everybody's face. I was like, that's cool.
That's neat. And I've got white if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Stanford did white. I figured I'd
Maybe right here.
anywhere you want.
We'll do it right here. All right. Oh, you got this one good.
That's brand new, pretty much, right? Yeah, it just came out. You want to do white on there? It doesn't matter to me.
We
But
can put it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we go.
I know we gotta be careful with these paint pens. These things don't dry fast at all.
Nope. And this one we could do right here.
Okay. Yeah, that was a crazy cover. It's like it came out and it's like, oh, and your artwork's so recognizable now, so it's good.
I'm glad when people see it, they're like, oh, I can tell it's you. And I'm like, really? And they're like, oh, yeah. And
Usually, like that's in a good way too, right?
right. Well, you would want to, right?
Exactly. How much do you for everything?
You're good.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. I'm glad you enjoyed who I am as a person.
Absolutely.
I was surprised along with everybody else when I got to those last pages and I had that surprise. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Do you have time for find a few more books?
Sure. Eventually I'll get out of here. Not yet.
Well, I was surprised that it was already 6 o'clock already.
It got here fast all of a sudden. We were just killing time, and then suddenly everybody wanted signatures. That's all right.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time here.
No problem. Just go right over here.
Okay. And this is brand new. I think this came out, what, a few weeks ago or something, or a month ago?
Yeah, I've had mine for a while, but yeah. I think this is issue 2, and I think they're up to issue 8. So it might be a little older.
Time runs together. They get as
I
old as
love
me,
it.
and it's like, I have no idea sometimes.
I love it. I love Mark's writing. I love Chris Somney's artwork.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a little bit of that Michael Cho feel, a little bit of that retro feel to it.
Retro. I was thinking of Alex Toth a little
Oh,
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't really look directly like any of them, but it's in that area.
It's close. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not exact, but it's definitely in that.
He's amazing.
Some
He's
good
an
stuff.
He's a young guy, but he's already one of the all-time greats. I think.
It's some awesome stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
that.
very welcome. You bet.
Good. How you doing, Carl?
Good.
Do you have time to sign a few books before we get out of here tonight?
Sure.
Got some Mandalorian for you.
It's that one I showed you yesterday. Hold on. I texted it to Mom. Okay, yeah. I know he's over there somewhere.
Carl, thank you so much for everything. How much owe you for everything?
Are you here tomorrow?
I am tomorrow.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll have a Hero Initiative thing.
Oh,
if you throw a few bucks in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to put the bucket back up. I'll stop
Yeah,
by.
they already came and collected it for the day because we're about to get kicked out, I guess.
I'm surprised that you hadn't heard that announcement. You need to be packing up and let's get out of
Really?
here.
They did do that?
No, I haven't heard it.
Okay.
I haven't heard it. It's like normally I would have that, but
What is it? Oh, it's 6:02, so
It's-
it's officially over.
yeah, it's time to go.
We are done. Get out.
Get out, guys. Thank you so much.
You bet. See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed some of that footage. I had a great time editing that. It's been about a little over a week since I've been back from Heroes Con, so I sat down and watched all that footage, and it gave me some great memories to go back over again. Well, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with David Finch, and that was so cool to get to see David Finch again. I actually own some David Finch original art from his run on the original Avengers, as well as, I believe, some Ultimate X-Men pages as well. Great guy. I've got him to sign stuff over the years, and if you guys are lucky enough to ever get an illustration from him, it's not cheap, but boy, he puts his heart and soul into some of these illustrations. It's fantastic, the amount of detail. Well, I'm not too much into the sketches, but I am into the autographs, and I took a handful of books for David Finch, and you've already seen at least a couple of books I'd already gotten signed. That World War Hulk #5. It's a key comic. I've already gotten Klaus Janson at this point, and I have gotten John Romita Jr. I cannot remember if it was in the original signing on day one or at the very end when I did the greet and meet, but nonetheless, I'd already gotten a couple of David Finch books signed. But here we are at day 2, and, well, I'll tell you this. Day 2 was, as I talked about in the last video, when I went in there with a small cart, only a handful of books to get the first handful of artists. I knew at some point I was going to break and then go back to the car, get the bigger cart, bring the rest of the comic books in, which is what I did. And unfortunately, I got caught. This is one of those times I got caught. Before I went back to the car, I went up to down by the tables where David Finch were, where Art Adams was, and you saw me get Art Adams. But before I switched off with the books, David Finch's table is wide open. And again, like I described in the last video, it was like the sea parted for Moses and you could walk right up. And I turned around, I'm going, okay, I've got to bang these David Finch books out. Well, I didn't have any of them with me. It drove me nuts because I wasn't prepared for that moment. I should have already gone back to the car before I went down to take a look at those tables. But I didn't have those David Finch books on me. So I had to come back a second time. And again, luckily, his line was not long at all. Still only a couple people in that line. That was the one thing I will say, is that as busy as it was, towards the end of the day, it did start to lighten up and you could get into some of those lines. And if you're lucky enough, you could hit them while they're doing autographs instead of trying to devote all their time to do sketches for people, commissions. And that was usually the way it is. If you saw nobody at their table, that meant that they had shut down the line. No more autographs right now. I'm going to be working on commissions. But a lot of times, I got lucky. I got lucky with Art Adams that way. I got lucky with David Finch. So let's just get into the David Finch right here. So one of the biggest books that had come out most recently was the new Battle Beast blind bag books that had come out, and there was a lot of different covers with the new Invincible series. And David Finch had done one of those covers, and I'd picked this up anyway, but I actually got another copy in one of the blind bags that I had opened up. So I got David Finch to sign a couple of copies of these, and I will have to save this for maybe Robert Kirkman someday. But Ryan Ottley is somebody I saw several times last year, so we'll save that for him. I did get another couple copies of Batman number 98 right here. It's part of that James Tynion run. And the reason I did get this is because James Tynion comes back to Third Eye at least once a year. So I will get both of those signed whenever he shows back up there at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland. And speaking of books that were already signed, or will get signed, this one was already signed by Scott Snyder. It is, which one is this? This is Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. The only reason I got this done was because it's got this cool David Finch cover, and you can see he's signed right there. There is Scott Snyder, and I had taken this to Philadelphia to hopefully get Greg Capullo, who did the art in the inside, and he was a cancellation, so I couldn't get that signed by Capullo. And here's a book that was signed at Third Eye Comics by Joshua Williamson. It's the new G.I. Joe run at Image Comics, and of course he's the writer on that book, and I got him to sign a lot of these different books. You saw in the previous video where I got Jenny Frison to sign her cover for this issue number 1. Well, I got David Finch to sign his cover. I got a couple copies of that. But lastly, the big book. And it's not huge, but the big book, it is a great cover, was Action Comics number 894. This is the only comic I actually picked up at Philadelphia when I went to the Fan Fest up there. When I finally got around to finishing up all the autographs, I finally went over and took a look at the back issue bins, which is the one thing I didn't do at Heroes Con at all. But I picked this up there, and I did this 100% intentional to get David Finch to sign, and he did sign right over there. The only other book that I had for David Finch, and I actually had to take both of those copies of World War Hulk back to him on Sunday, because what had happened in this switchover, when I went to get his autograph, I didn't have any of the books on me. Well, I was mistaken. I actually did have those World War Hulks on me. I had just gotten Klaus Janson to sign it, and I put them away. I didn't think about it. So when I went back to the car to get the big cart with all 3 of the boxes, I took out the Klaus Janson World War Hulk books that I did have on me, but I'd forgot when I went to go to David Finch's table. Well, I went and I got all these books by David Finch, but I dumped some of the stuff in the car, and I mistakenly dumped those Hulk issues. So I had to go back on Sunday to get David Finch. Sorry, this is a little roundabout story, but nonetheless, I got everything I needed by David Finch. He signed everything, most of it right here on Saturday, but the rest of it was on Sunday. Anyway, so it was very nice meeting him for, I don't know, probably this dozenth time. I've seen him countless times over the years at this point. So after I finished with that, I'm heading back down, and I've got the map, and I'm looking at who can I get next, and I go by, and Jim Rugg is at his table, no line, so I walk right up, and Jim Rugg is somebody I've gotten some stuff signed for in the past. Not a lot, but I remember getting him something to sign a couple years ago before Ed Pasquer had passed away. Well, this is the first time I've gotten Jim Rugg since, and I'd actually had a few books by him at this point. But I finally pulled out the Hulk Grand Design, the Madness book right here. I got a couple copies of this right there, signed by Jim, and his Hulk Grand Design Monster issue right there, as well as Hulk Grand Design. This is just Grand Design with that homage to Todd McFarlane right there. And then I had a couple stray issues that had come out recently. X-Men Legends #2. It was a Jim Rugg cover. And lastly was, which one was this? Fall at the House of X #4. And I remember this coming out in the stands going, I wonder who did that. And I'd say, right down there, Jim Rugg. So I got him to sign all those. And in the video, you get to see him sign the big Marvel book as well. So that was pretty cool to get him to sign that. Again, in this video, you're not going to see that Marvel book get pulled out right here. It's too hard to hold up here in front of the camera. Plus, it's getting a little delicate. That spine is kind of split away from the cover, so I try not to handle it any more than I need to. All right, from there, I still got some pretty big names left, and one of those names is Scotty Young. And Scotty Young is, you've got to get in his line pretty early because it is a terribly long line. Well, I'd already been over to his line earlier that day. In fact, that's part of the problem about me trying to go back to the car is I tried to get in his line at 11:30. And that was before I'd got some of these other guys to sign. In fact, that was the first thing I did right after the Jerry Conway signing on day one. And what happened was I got in his line. I thought I could get through his line before he left at 12:30. I got in at 11:30 and that line was not moving, but I stayed there too long and I should have gotten out of that line a lot earlier. I could have gotten a few other people a lot sooner. But the best thing was they told me what time he was going to be there on Sunday, and that's one of those commitments. Is why I didn't get Roy Thomas on Saturday. I made a commitment then to get Scotty Young on Sunday morning. Otherwise, I probably would have done Roy Thomas first on Saturday, save Jerry Conway for Sunday, but that would have jeopardized getting Scotty Young as well. Well, I sacrificed Roy Thomas, and then when I found out what time Scotty Young was going to be there on Sunday, I knew that that was going to be the first person I went to on Sunday morning. Well, again, I stayed in the line too long on Saturday. Finally went back after I got a few of these other creators. I finally went back to the car, got all the new books and everything, and of course I got Jim Rugg right there. At this point, I've got to knock some other big stuff out, and one of those is Adam Hughes. And I finally went back over to his line, and I timed it pretty good. I kind of knew what time he was going to be back. It's one of the things that at some point you start checking their tables to see what time they're going to be back. And they'll have signs on their tables most likely, or they'll have handlers there that will tell you. And I timed it pretty good, and I got back over there. And it did take a little bit of time, longer than I expected, because he's still doing illustrations for another line, and he wanted to get through some of that, but he eventually got to just the people who wanted autographs, and let's just go through it, and I'll show you what I've got. You've already seen a couple of those books from the Tim Seeley books, the Rogue Savage Land books. I'd already shown you those in one of yesterday's, or I guess it was a video from 2 episodes ago at this point, but still day 2 at this point. But I did get Catwoman #72. You got this great Zatanna cover. This, I think, is the 3rd printing of Batgirl #1. And this is a recent pickup I'd picked up at a local comic book show. And I knew it wasn't the first print. I thought it was the second, but I think it's really, when I checked there, it's the third print. This is fairly recent, but it's a little old at this point. Deathstroke Incorporated #1. You got this beautiful black canary cover right there. And here's a book that I didn't show during the Romita episode, but I got John Romita to sign a couple copies of Spider-Man #60. I think this was the last issue of Zeb Wells when he was writing this. This is the Black Cat and Mary Jane cover right there, and you can see the Junior, and there's Adam Hughes. The one person I didn't get on here was Scott Hanna. I don't know. I just didn't feel like getting Scott Hanna on this particular issue. I did on, there was another copy of one of the other issues I got, and I did include Scott Hanna on that, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like adding Scott Hanna on these right here. To me, that wasn't a value add for this book in particular. This is all about the Adam Hughes cover, and John Romita Jr. is still a huge name who did work in this book as well. Anyway, continuing, Black Widow #11. I think he did some wonderful Black Widow covers in this run. This is one of my favorites. I did get a couple copies of Elektra #2. This is Elektra Black, White, and Blood, and he signed it right there on both of those. And let's set these down. And then I went back in time and I picked up a copy of Ghost #1. This is from Dark Horse Comics. This is actually pretty old at this point. What year did that come out? It was in the 90s, right? Wasn't it? And this is a homage. This Vampirella #1 right here is a homage to his original, Adam Hughes' original cover for Harris Comics back in the day. That is a book I actually sent in. It was my original copy, the original of this. I sent that in back in the day, last year at some point when they had the Adam Hughes at CGC for the private signing, and I did get a 9.8 on that. That was pretty good. That was a book from my personal collection. Obviously, I took care of it really well. Did an easy, clean press, nothing too harsh on that, and got that 9.8, and that's a keeper in my collection. And when I saw this out, I figured, okay, this would be kind of cool to have this as a match to that original copy. And then we've got Vampverse, which is still a Vampirella book right here, and they got a pretty cool cover, and he signed right on our belly button right there. And here's a book that I didn't show during the Dan Panosian section of one of the videos here, but Dan, of course, wrote and created Alice Ever After, and you hear it in his video when he signs this. He says, hey, you know Adam Hughes is here too, and I told him, he said, yep, I know. And the plan was to get this signed by Adam Hughes as well. He signed it right there, and there's Dan Panosian right there. Another great cover was from Gun Honey Collision Course right here. This is just the trade dress version. Got a couple copies of that. And then we went back in time for these last two. Let's set these down. And Spoof Comics did these books back in the day. I'm not even sure how old it is now, but we've got Spoof Comics presents Spider-Film right there. And of course, Adam Hughes did the covers for, I think he did covers for most of these, but these are two of my favorites. This one right there, and this one especially, #5. You got Dare Dame, Woman Without a Brassiere. So, some pretty good spoof stuff. I think Adam Hughes used to do work for Playboy, doing comics in there as well. So this kind of comes from that section of the hobby. Anyway, that was everything from Adam Hughes. I won't say he was very nice, but he is not the most personable person. I don't think he really enjoys doing these cons, but I think he enjoys the money. Anyway, I'm not making a judgment on that. Anyway, so Adam Hughes is on one side of the room, and I'm crisscrossing from one side of the Heroes Con to another to kind of knock these down, and it's kind of going by how many books I've got on somebody. So I head back to the other side of the room, and what's nice about Heroes Con is they've got a big creator area, then it's in the middle, you've got a ton of the dealers, and then on the far side, on the other end, is another set of creators, and a lot of creators. And so you do have to kind of go through the dealers. They don't segment it so you could just worry about one and not ever get to the other. I had to go through all these comics every time I went over there. I just never got a chance to stop. But I head back to the other side of the room, and I got to meet somebody that I've been wanting to meet ever since I've been watching videos on this lady. She is just a bubbly personality, just has a lot of energy and a lot of spunk, and I decided I have to get something signed by her, even though initially I didn't really care for the art, but it's grown on me greatly, and that's Maria Wolf. And she ended up signing my Marvel book, did a great remark of a wolf, which makes sense, of course, inside the Marvel book. And then I got her, this is the main book I wanted her to sign, was Doom #1. This is a ratio cover from the Sanford Green book from last year. Sanford Green had signed this up at Third Eye Comics on his second trip in this last year. And then Maria Wolf signed down here. That looks beautiful in there. It's got a small tick over here. This is a book I'd love to get graded. I really don't want to get it graded if it's not going to get that 9.8, but we'll see. It's one of those, I'll have to really look at it. It may be one, if there's no other defect, I might be able to squeak out a 9.8. I don't know. This recently came out. This is a ratio as well for the Immortal Thor #23. And this was just a regular variant cover of NYX. And you got Laura Kinney right there. And this is a book I picked up at a dollar show. I was just thumbing through. Everything's a dollar show, a chud. Comics here under $1. And you guys probably you've saw this book if you watched that comic book haul video. Sabretooth and the Exiles #1. And you got this great Maria Wolf cover right there. And it was a pleasure meeting her. We talked about it, and I told her, I said, I wanted to meet you. I've seen you on videos. I've seen you at shows. I'd never gotten anything from you, but I've seen you interact with people, and it's like your energy, your enthusiasm for everything is so exciting. So I definitely wanted to get you to sign something, and I think she was pretty appreciative of that. All right. Only a couple other things left here for this day, and again, we're running down at the end of the day. We're getting down to that last hour, and I'm trying to knock it out. In fact, we're down to under probably the last half hour, maybe even less than that at this point, to the point where they're almost getting ready to close the show. And Kevin Nowlan was somebody I needed to get a couple books signed by, including this here. This is Batman #500. You've got this great Joe Quesada cover right here. If you open it up, it's a die cut. You see Azrael behind here, or the new, as Azrael is the new Batman, of course. And this is a book my mother had bought years ago as a gift for me. Has a certificate of authenticity right here. It was signed by Jim Aparo and who's the other one here? Oh my God, Doug Minch. Yeah, I'm looking here. There was Jim Aparo and Doug Minch. Oh, what am I talking about? Wait a minute. Oh, and Terry Alston up here. This was a QVC thing and it's let's see, it's limited edition of 9,500 of these. I wish it was a little bit better. They basically signed in a silver paint pen, stuck it in the bag, and it did make a little bit of mess, but that's the way Mom bought it. But I ended up adding Kevin Nowlan right here, who did some of the art on the inside, to this as well. At some point, I should have pulled this out when I got Joe Quesada a couple years ago to add to that. I'll have to save that for Joe Quesada at some point. Again, another book from that same dollar sale that I talked about with Maria Wolf was this right here, Legends of the DC Universe #10. And you've got this, I think Kevin Nowlan does art on the inside as well, but he also did the cover here of Batgirl. And most recently, this had just come out here a few months ago. It's a variant of Batman and Robin Year 1, #2, and you got this great Kevin Nowlan cover right there. So that's what I got Kevin Nowlan to sign. And then lastly, and we're talking last moments of the day. In fact, Carl Story was only going to ask for a donation. In fact, that's one of the things he was talking about seeing me tomorrow, was asking for a donation for Heroes Fund. But Heroes Fund had already come by and picked up the donation bins. That's what he would have asked for, and I had to go back the next day to drop off a few dollars because Carl Story, who did the inks for The Mandalorian, signed this, issue number 1 right here, and as you can see, there's his signature right there. Whoops. Right there. Rodney Barnes, who wrote this, signed this up at Philadelphia at the Fan Expo, and the artist, I'm going to mispronounce his name, George's Gentry. Is that how you say it? I've never met him before. He's somebody you're going to see in the Day 3 videos. I actually got him to sign on Day 3. I may actually pull these books out again because when you see him in the video, you'll see that again. But he signed, Carl Story banged these out. It was already past 6 o'clock. It was 6:02 when he signed these, and was like, oh, I guess the show's over. They needed to leave. So he signed those, and then I had the photo rendition of The Mandalorian right there. And again, you see all 3 creators on there. And then I did the toy version as well. It's definitely a lot harder to see all of these autographs, but you can actually see Carl's stories just a little bit better. But that was everything for Day 3, the last group of artists. A lot of books. Had a great time as usual. Man, I mean, we're 2 days into this, and I have got tons, boxes and boxes, short boxes of autographs at this point. Day 2 was huge, especially with the Jenny Frisenhall. I got so many books signed by her, and I really knocked down everything. So what's left now is everything coming up on Day 3. And in Day 3, the videos are going to be coming up. They're going to end up being a little bit of repeat. You're going to see some of the same artists I've already been to before, but I'm not going to show you new books because I've already shown you all the books, like as I was talking about with David Finch. I will probably show you some of the video because some of the conversations could still be interesting. I still have to edit it actually at this point, so I'm not even sure what's on there at this point. But stay tuned for all of those episodes coming up. I've already kind of blocked it out. I think we're going to have at least 3 episodes from Day 3 as well. But this is the end of Day 2, the last group, and I hope you guys go back and make sure, if you haven't watched the previous videos from all the other signings so far, definitely go back and check out some of those. But if you enjoyed today's video, definitely give me a like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the episodes I'm putting out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. And it's not just shows about Heroes Con. I'm actually putting these out a little sooner than later because I want to get these episodes aired. And what I'm doing is some of the previously scheduled episodes, I've got a bunch of CGC unboxings, a couple comic book hauls. I'm going to push those back a little bit so you can get through all the Heroes Con signings and everything. So that's kind of going to be the upcoming schedule. We're going to get through all of Heroes Cons. You're still going to have some new comic book day videos. In fact, on Wednesdays, I'm planning on still having my regular scheduled new comic book day video. But earlier in the day, I'm actually going to air this particular episode, or whichever Heroes Con episode ends up being on a Wednesday. I'm going to air that one at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So you'll definitely on Wednesdays for the next couple of weeks have probably 2 episodes. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, guys, definitely the other thing is leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the books I got signed today. Are these books you would get signed? I'd love to know. Are these in your collection or not? Would you like them in your collection? And I have to also do a little sales pitch. I definitely have duplicates on a lot of things. So if you ever see anything on my videos that interests you, just reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or check out what I've got listed in eBay or on my Shortbox page. I've got a lot of stuff there for sale, and including you're going to end up with a lot of these books as well, the ones that I don't necessarily need in my PC, duplicates and things like that. Anyway, guys, that's it for the sales pitch. I'm out of here. I will see you for the next episode. Until then, remember, every comic has a story.